The Babysitter is the newest film from director McG. Is it any good? Let's find out. Hey, what's up, you guys? Film fan 0599 here again, and today we're going to review The Babysitter. So The Babysitter stars Judith Lewis and Sam Weaving, and what this film is basically about, it's about, this kid named Cole, and he has a really special connection with his babysitter named B. She treats him really nice, and they're really good friends with each other. One night, when Cole decides he's going to stay up and see if his babysitter is doing any adult things with her boyfriend, and let's just say Cole sees something that he wasn't supposed to see, and now, some things ensue. So, what did I think of The Babysitter? Now, going into this, I really didn't really know much about it, honestly. Like, the only thing I knew about it going into it was, two things. It was a Netflix original movie. It was directed by McG. And McG, not a good director. I mean, I hated This Means War. I hated Terminator Salvation. And I hated his last movie before this, 3 Days to Kill. So, yeah. Oh boy, so that was already a red flag for me with this movie. I was just like, you know what, I'm still going to go in with an open mind. Hopefully he can make something good. And I heard some good things about this movie, and I also heard some terrible things about this movie as well. It was pretty all over the place. So, yeah, and my thoughts are, it was okay. It was alright. It was fine. I mean, it's not a terrible movie to me, but it's also not a good movie either. It's just okay. It's an alright movie. It's kind of just meh. Like, it's fine. It's just something you would see. Honestly, it's just like that. It's kind of like just something that Netflix just put on just randomly, honestly. And it was just like, let's just make an original movie. Let's just sign on to it. And, it kind of just felt like that. It was just one of those, straight to Netflix or straight to DVD movies. It kind of just felt like that to me. And it was just okay. It was fine. So, yeah, but there are some things I did like about this movie. I'll get into them. First being, with the positives, are, first, the acting. Some of the acting wasn't too bad. I actually thought some people did a pretty solid job. I thought Judith Lewis was really good as the lead character. I really enjoyed him a lot in the movie. He was probably my favorite character in the entire film. I did enjoy him a lot. He did a very solid job, in my opinion. He was really good. I thought his acting wasn't too bad, honestly. Same goes with Sam Weaving. I thought she was pretty solid, too. She wasn't too bad. She did a good job as well. Robbie Amell, who's in this movie, of course, he was good too. He had me laughing at a lot of points. He was really enjoyable too. So yeah, some of the acting isn't too bad in the movie. There are some moments that did make me laugh. I'm not gonna lie, there are some moments in this movie that I actually did think were pretty funny. I was like, okay, this is pretty funny. So yeah, there were some moments in the movie that did, had me laughing. I was, think it was pretty good. The horror element at times, when it's used right, it's pretty good. At times when they do use it, and it is pretty solid. I do think whenever they do the horror element with this movie, because it is a horror comedy, and when they do use that kind of horror element of the film, it is pretty solid at times. I did think they did a pretty good job. Some of the writing is pretty good. Some of the writing I think was good. There were some, pretty good jokes and stuff like that. So, yeah, there are some points where the writing is solid. McG didn't do too bad of a job directing this movie, actually. For the most part, at least. It was actually pretty well shot. Editing, but, it was pretty well shot. Cinematography wasn't too bad either. I thought, the cinematography wasn't too bad with the movie, honestly. So, yeah, the directing, for the most part, honestly, wasn't too bad. I actually thought McG, for the most part, did an actually pretty solid job for once as a director directing a movie. And lastly, I will say this. The first half of the movie, I was actually kind of enjoying it. I was like, okay, I'm interested to see where this goes and everything. And I was like, you know what? It's pretty funny so far. I'm enjoying what's going on. It pulled a Mummy. You know, you remember the Mummy movie from this year with Tom Cruise? Yeah, it's almost exactly like that, where it's like I enjoyed like the first half of it, but then once a certain thing happens, the movie just kind of goes bland from there. That's exactly what happens with this movie. Once that certain element where he was supposed to see where he wasn't supposed to see the thing that he saw, that's where really the movie kind of gets bland to me, and I wasn't nearly as enjoying it as much as I was in the first half. And it just kind of goes downhill from there. Now the negatives. The negatives with the movie. First being, the rest of the acting is honestly not that good. King Batch, who, you know, fine star, pretty popular. His real name is, Andrew Bachelor, I think that's his real name, and he was not good. He was probably my least favorite character in the movie. You know, he did have some funny jokes here and there, but for the most part, he was just kind of annoying me. I wasn't really enjoying his character. Bella Thorne. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. Bella Thorne is probably the worst character in this entire film. She was awful. Like, her acting could have been more just over the top. It was just unbearable to watch her, honestly, in this movie. Like, she gives the absolute worst performance in the entire film. Like, she just, oh my lord, she is just awful to like, new heights. It is terrible, seriously. And the guy who plays the girl's father, the one that, you know, Cola's, has a crush on and everything, although he's not in it too much, but for the screen time he's on there for, dear God almighty, is he bad. So yeah, the rest of the acting isn't really the best. Some of the comedy, like, a lot of it just doesn't work for the most part. Like, it's very 50-50, I want to say. Like, there are moments where it does work, and then there's moments where it just falls flat. And I really do feel like it falls flat at points for me. Like, I really do. Like, the comedy just, like, it's self-aware. Like, I get what the movie is trying to do. It's trying to be self-aware of what it's doing, but it just doesn't do it, for the most part, in a really clever way. Like, they really don't do it, honestly. They just don't do it in a really clever way for the most part. And it's just kind of like, oh yeah, we're self-aware, that means we're funny, right? It just, I was like, no, you gotta actually, you know, be smart with it. And it just, I felt like for the most part, honestly, they just weren't being smart with the humor. They were just kind of like, hey, we're being self-aware, please laugh at us. That's just all I felt like. And the movie just gets way too silly at points. Oh man, the movie, like, gets really dumb. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I laughed at some of the dumb moments that did happen in the film, but there's just a point where it just goes overboard at points. Like, I'm just like, you're overdoing it, and that's probably my main issue with this movie. They overdo it so much. They really tried to just overblow itself a lot, and it doesn't work, and it kind of made me enjoy the movie less and less, because it was just like, you're overdoing it so much, and it's just not good. I'm not liking it, honestly. It's just like, just tone it down just a bit. You're kind of overdoing it, and it's kind of making me enjoy the movie less, honestly. And I just really felt like they were overdoing it, kind of with the violence at points, kind of with its humor. They were just kind of overdoing it, and also being over self-aware at points. Like, they were just really overdoing it. I was just like, stop. Kind of tone it down just a bit. And it was just kind of, somewhat, at times, not really that great to watch. I was just like, just tone it down. The writing isn't really that great, honestly. Like I said, there are some points where it is pretty solid. I do think they do a pretty good job with it, but for the most part, really it's not that great, and they just try way too hard. Like, the movie, the editing with this movie is not good. It really is not, and the tone shift with it is just a mess. Like, they can't really decide on what tone that they want to do. First, they want to try and be a comedy, then they want to be a horror film, and they just don't mesh it well. It just kind of shifts back and forth, and it just doesn't work. And I'm just like, you can do better than this. Like, you really can do better than this, do better than this, but it just feels like a mess. And I was just like, oh god. So yeah, the editing is really not that great, and the tone shift is just kind of all over the place. I'm just like, oh my god, just stop. Like, really, just stop. And lastly, the movie after the first half, once that certain moment happens, it just gets boring. I'm just bored watching it. Like, I'm not necessarily being infuriated while watching it, but I'm just bored. Like, I'm just like, kind of just want this to end now. It's just getting more and more boring as it goes along. I'm just like, just end already, honestly. I'm kind of done with the movie now. I'm just like, just end. It's just boring now, so yeah. So overall, I didn't hate this movie. I don't think The Babysitter is necessarily an awful movie, but at the same time, I didn't necessarily enjoy it either, honestly. It just kind of ends up being an okay movie. Now, if the movie went with like how the first half of it was, then I could have enjoyed this movie, but just after that certain moment in the movie happens, and it just kind of just falls flat from there, and it just becomes such a mediocre movie. So it's time for my official grade on The Babysitter, and my official grade on The Babysitter is a C+. It's an alright movie. I didn't really find that much enjoyment out of it for the most part, honestly. It's just, it's not that great. They definitely could have done a lot better with this movie. They really could have. Like, this could have been an interesting premise, and it could have been really funny and really enjoyable, but just the way that they handle it in this movie is just not that great, and they could have done so much better, honestly. So, yeah, The Babysitter, in the end, just an alright movie. Didn't really enjoy all that much. Gets a C+. But if you have seen The Babysitter, what did you think about it? Leave it in the comment section below. I'm FilmFan0599, and we will see you out later. Peace.